When you do read my first book, you're going to meet my stepfather. And there's a school of thought that says that we are all products of our environments. Well, according to that school of thought, I should have become him. I should have become another alcoholic, wife-beating, child-abusing, illiterate loser. And a lot of people would have said, well, look where he's from. He didn't have a choice. Well, I did have a choice because I saw the light in my mother and in others with whom I did not share a single drop of blood. And I embraced it. Seeing and embracing. Those are two separate actions. And some people are going to say, well, Chris, aren't you just talking about the extended family? No, I'm not. Because just like you can have a dysfunctional family, you can have a dysfunctional extended family, which is even worse because you chose those people. I need to elaborate just a little here when I say I could have become my stepfather. This guy was fond of reminding me every day, I ain't your daddy. You ain't got no daddy. Sometimes he put a 12-gauge shotgun right here just to make his point. And when you grow up with that kind of thing, you can do one of two things. You can perpetuate it, or you can choose to go the other way. I chose because of a promise. I did not know what a commitment was as a 5-year-old boy, but I knew what a promise was. And I made a promise to myself as a 5-year-old boy that became the most important decision that I've ever made in my life. And not just in my life, because it changed the lives of my yet to have been born children and my grandchild. The decision was, when I grow up, become a man and have children, my children are going to know who their father is. When I made that one decision to break that one link and that chain of cycles that had plagued my family, breaking that one link of child abandonment allowed me to break all of the other associated links, including child abuse, domestic violence, alcoholism, illiteracy, fear, and generational poverty. Let me say that another way. That promise that I made to myself as a 5-year-old boy became my reality as a 28-year-old man. And speaking of 5-year-olds, in the film, Jaden Smith plays my son as a 5-year-old. They did that for the dialogue between the characters. The truth of the matter is, at that point in our journey, my son was 14 months old. He was still in diapers. That changes everything. And speaking of diapers, man, is that just not the most beautiful little chocolate baby boy in the world? Is that not him, huh? And no, that is not my son. That's me, man. And it took me a long time to realize the only person I could be looking at to make me smile like that is her, my mother. Oh man, let me tell you something. My mother, Betty Jean, boy, those eyes and that smile could either melt your heart or turn you into a pillar of salt. I had both experiences. Moms found their way into critical parts of the film. I'll point them out to you. Sony spent $100 million on marketing that movie. And every place that Will Smith and I went all around the world, I talked about my mother. The wit, the wisdom, the lessons, the love that she shared with me made everything else I've ever done in my life possible. Whenever I am asked, whatever made you think that you could accomplish half of the things that you have in your life, I can hear my mother's voice. I can hear Mama say, son, I've had to do so much with so little for so long, I can do anything with nothing. And that wasn't just something catchy to say. I saw her do it. The film's been referred to many, many times as the ultimate rags to riches story. But for me, It was never about money. For me, it was a love story about a man who was committed to giving his child something that he never had, which was a father. And that's priceless. That's got nothing to do with money. I have to share just a few. I have to share just a few stories with you about my mom and others who helped create what I call my spiritual genetics. And it's so remarkable to me that during some of the most empowering moments of your life, no matter how long ago they happened, you can remember it like it happened this morning. I will never forget being a young guy getting ready to watch a college basketball game. It's the college basketball championship game, and the school has come out of nowhere to challenge my favorite team. The announcer is hyping this game and talking about all the money some of these players were going to make simply because they could run and jump and shoot a ball. And I said, talking to the television, I said, wow, man, one day that guy's gonna make $1 million. Thank God my mother heard me say it. Mama heard me say it, and she said, son, you know what? If you want to, one day you can make $1 million. Whoa. Until she said those words, the thought never entered my mind. But after she said them, the thought never left my mind. Moms went on to say the most remarkable thing, which was, baby, if you want to make the team, go to the gym. But if you want to own the team, go to the library. And you know what makes that so remarkable? What makes that so remarkable is 3 years ago, I failed in an attempt to buy a professional basketball team. I put together a group of investors, and we bid $700 million to buy the Atlanta Hawks of the National Basketball Association. At that point in time, that was the second highest price ever offered for an NBA franchise. $700 million. The idea was to buy that team and move it to Vegas. $700 million and lost. And I was like, Mom, girl, you didn't tell me about this part. But that's okay. You know why? Because that was practice. Quincy Jones once told me the best singing he ever heard was Michael Jackson at practice. Phil Jackson once said the best basketball he ever saw was Michael Jordan at practice. I like practice. I'll be back soon. And looking back, I've wondered so many times, how did my mother know to say to me every day, son, you can do or be anything? That's the greatest gift I ever got in my life. That was permission to dream. It's very important to say what she did not say. She did not say that you could have anything. She did not say that you could buy anything. She did not say that you're guaranteed, assured, owed, or entitled to anything. She said you could do or be anything. And for me, man, that was an even bigger statement. Because if you can do or be anything, all this other stuff will come. My mother saying to me, son, you can do or be anything, that was the generational transfer of a dream. My mom was born deep in the south of the United States, down in Louisiana, the daughter of a sharecropper. 1930s, 1940s. Those were not the good old days by any stretch of the imagination. And I've often wondered again, how did she know to say these things to me? My mom saying, son, you can do or be anything, apparently I took it too far. I made in my mind my first ambition in life, I was going to become that guy, Miles Davis. And for some of my younger brothers and sisters in the room, you might need to Google him. And when you do go to Google, what you're going to learn is Miles is universally acknowledged as probably one of the greatest jazz artists in the history of music. My mom saying to me, son, you could do or be anything. Man, I chose Miles. I studied music theory. I played trumpet for 9 years. I got pretty good. And when I say I wanted to become Miles Davis, man, I had it bad. I had it so bad, people would ask me as a little boy, what are you going to be when you grow up? I had it so bad, I started talking like Miles, and I'd tell them, I'm going to be Miles Davis. Thank God again, Mama heard me say something one time. Mama heard me say it one time, and she said, son, we need to talk. We sat down at the kitchen table. Now, I don't know how this worked at your house, but at our house, when you got called to the kitchen table and it was not supper time, that was not good news. That was kind of like going to court. A ruling was about to come down. We sit down at the kitchen table, and my mother says to me with all the love that only a mother has, baby, you're pretty good with that thing, but you can't be Miles Davis. There's only one, and he's got that job. Now, when your mama puts it to you like that, man, you got to feel that. And I had to look at the facts. The facts were, at 18 years of age, Miles Davis was in New York City playing with Quincy Jones and Dizzy Gillespie. At the same age, I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, playing with some boys named Pookie and Ray Ray. Hey, we were good, but it wasn't going to happen. But it was also about this time, as a young man, I heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speak one night. As a matter of fact, it was the last speech he ever gave in his life. He was assassinated the very next day. He was speaking to a group of municipal employees, garbage men down in Memphis, Tennessee. And his message to those men that night was, whatever you're going to do with your life, you should seek to become the best at it. I believe his exact words were, if you're going to be a garbage man, you should seek to become the best garbage man and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. And right there, I made the second most important decision that I ever made in my life. That decision was, I'm going to become world class at whatever I do with my life. Not good at it, not pretty good at it, but world class at it. And let's define world class and keep it simple. Right now, whatever business or industry that you're in, or business or industry that you aspire to be in, there's a conversation going on right now, and the question has come up, who's the best in the business? Somebody ought to say your name. Same conversation, same question. Who's the best in the business? If nobody says your name, then you got work to do. Same conversation, same question. Who's the best in the business? If nobody says your name and you don't care, get out of the business. You'll never be any good. But the ultimate validation in that scenario, the ultimate validation is, when that question comes up, who's the best in the business? The ultimate validation is when somebody who does not like you says your name. When the people who would not take your phone calls are now hoping that you'll return their calls. When the folks who would not hire you yesterday cannot afford you today. That's when you know. You know when I knew? I don't, but I'm working on it every single day. I am working on it every single day.